Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Dungeon Masters, and we're going to talk about Dragon Masters, the 5 people who play, and who needs it more, the artist or the audience. All right, so let's jump into this. So the reason we're talking about this today is I go probably 3 or 4 times a year to the Carlisle Car Show. So Carlisle is this town. I don't want to say little, but they're not so little anymore. They're definitely growing. It's this wonderful town in the middle of Pennsylvania, and they have a car show. They have about half a dozen car shows every year, and they are epic. Like literally, they can put 5,000 cars, all collectibles, all like super high end machines in one space for people to look at. I just went to their import and performance show, which was like cars from Britain, Italy, Japan, Germany. It's pretty much it. And then also race cars, right? That's import and performance. But they're gonna have a Ford show. They're gonna have a GMC show. They're gonna have a truck show. And they have these incredible shows, right? And literally thousands of people go to see. I think they get 5, 10. They get a huge amount of people that come to see as many as 5,000 cars on one grounds, right? And so I went there, and it gets about noon, and I go to get my lunch, and it's such I cannot suggest this highly enough. So they have this like Amish, it's either Amish or Mennonite place where you can get a ham sandwich. It's 2 slices of bread, chopped ham, and like cheese, and that's it. And it's so ridiculously good. It's like really good sandwich, right? So I'm eating my sandwich, and there's literally like hundreds of people just getting food at like this kind of food court area that that is right there near all these cars and everything. And there's this guy playing guitar, right, for the crowd, for the audience, right? There's an artist, and there's the audience, right? And this guy's playing. He's got a, somebody's mic'd him. He's got a guitar, and he's got a mic, so he's singing, and his guitar is mic'd, and his voice is mic'd, right? And he's playing he's doing covers, right? And it's like Yes or REM. And I'm like, man, what is this, right? Terrible selection of music, not well done, right? Just I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, hey, I'm eating my ham sandwich here. I'm like, why do I have to listen to this, right? And it was not good. It was very antiquated, very antiquated, forgettable song selection, poorly executed, right? And I'm like, why is this happening? Why is this guy here mic'd, right? I'm like, there's no possibility that anyone hired him to be here to play for this crowd, right? The reason why is anybody who had hired somebody, they would have got somebody better, right? And then I was like, so why is he doing this? And the thing is, everybody would just been eating in silence without it, right? But it wasn't, but I was like, I don't think this is better than the silence we would have got, right? And so then I'm like, so how did he get here, right? And then I was like, I wonder if he asked to be here. And he's like, yeah, you guys got all those people, and they're all eating, and they're looking at the cars. What if there was music, right? I can supply that for you. And so then I'm like, did somebody let him play, right? And then the more I thought about it, I was like, I'll bet that happened, right? And then it reached a point where I was like, okay, so then who needed this? The audience didn't need it, right? But the artist needed it. I think he was there because he asked, right? He asked to be there because he needed to play for an audience. The audience did not need to hear that artist, right? And the reason why we're talking about this today is I think we really there's 3 great mysteries about Dungeons & Dragons. What is the purpose of Dungeons & Dragons? What is the purpose of Dungeons & Dragons, right? And I have solved that mystery, and I've been telling people, but I don't think people are accepting the answer that I've given, right? In addition to this, why do people play Dungeons & Dragons? And I'm now convinced there are many tables where people don't want to play Dungeons & Dragons. They're stuck at a table where a dungeon master has convinced them to play. because the artist needed the audience more than the audience needed the artist, right? And the reason why we're talking about this is I'm driving toward solving this mystery, right? Like, why do people sit at Dungeons and Dragons tables? And I think a lot of dungeon masters have very ridiculous, low thought answers, and that a lot of dungeon masters think they know why the people are at their table and very much do not know why they're at their table. And I'm also convinced, after hearing this guy who should not have been playing for the crowd, right, that there are I would say thousands, there's definitely tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. I don't think the number goes up to low millions, but I think there are between tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who are who have been lured to Dungeons and Dragons tables and are being convinced to play by a dungeon master who needs the dragon masters more than those dragon masters need that dungeon master. I'm very, very convinced of this. And I'm curious if you've seen any evidence of it. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. You get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.